When Pope Leo XIV stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's Square, Peter's Basilica, the world paused. For some, it was just the start of a new papacy, but for countless devout Catholics watching around the globe, it felt like something more. The possibility of return. A return to reverence. A return to mystery. A return to the timeless traditions that once formed the very heart of the Church. In the days following his election, thousands took to comment sections, forums, and churches, not just to celebrate, but to hope. Hope that this new pontiff, already showing signs of a more traditional spirit, might finally restore what so many had quietly longed for. Today we reveal the top 7 Catholic traditions that the faithful most passionately want Pope Leo XIV to bring back. Number 7. The traditional Latin Mass, Tridentine Mass. No tradition has stirred the hearts of Catholics more than the longing for the return of the traditional Latin Mass. For decades, it stood as the unshaken core of Catholic worship, a liturgy imbued with mystery, silence, and awe. The Latin language lifted prayers into the sacred. The priest faced ad orientem, toward the east, toward Christ. The chants echoed like angelic hymns from another world. And then, after Vatican II, it nearly vanished. Suppressed, sidelined, forgotten in many parishes. But it never died. In recent years, a silent revival has been growing. Young families drive for hours to attend a Latin Mass. Teenagers learn Gregorian chant. Converts say it was the reverence of the old liturgy that drew them in. In comment after comment, faithful Catholics begged, "Bring it back. Let the ancient rhythm of worship return to the heart of the Church." To them, the Latin Mass is not nostalgia. It is inheritance. It is holy ground. Number 6. Receiving Holy Communion on the tongue while kneeling. The Eucharist is the real presence of Christ, the source and summit of our faith. Yet how we receive him speaks volumes. In past generations, the faithful knelt at communion rails, humbled before the altar, receiving Christ with awe and reverence. On the tongue, never in the hand. It was not just an act of tradition, it was a posture of the soul. Humility in the body, obedience in the heart. Today, many feel this profound act has been lost. Communion lines resemble conveyor belts. The sacred is treated casually. Reverence, they fear, has faded. Many Catholics now long for a restoration, not just of communion on the tongue, but of kneeling, of altar rails, of the sacred silence that once surrounded the mystery. In their eyes, this is not rigid piety. It's about restoring the rightful throne to the King of Kings. Number 5. Friday abstinence all year long. To the world, skipping meat on Fridays might seem insignificant, but to Catholics, it once meant something deeper, a quiet act of penance, unity, and remembrance of the Lord's Passion. Before Vatican II, abstaining from meat on all Fridays was a near-universal Catholic discipline. It marked believers with a shared identity. Even secular culture took notice. Restaurants offered fish specials. Communities reminded each other. Now many ask, why did we let it go? The faithful aren't demanding legalism. They're asking for meaning, a return to visible Catholic life, not hidden in private devotions, but shared in public witness. As one commenter put it, it's a simple act, but it reminds me who I am. For them, Friday abstinence is not about dietary choices. It's a sacred rhythm of sacrifice, echoing the sacrifice of Christ. Number 4, veiling in church, a forgotten gesture of sacred femininity. It was once common. Mothers, daughters, widows, and brides entering church with heads veiled, some with lace mantillas, others with scarves or hats. It was never about oppression. It was about reverence, echoing the tradition of St. Paul, a visible sign of sacred submission to God. After Vatican II, veiling virtually disappeared, dismissed by many as outdated or even regressive. But today it's returning, quietly, beautifully. More and more women are choosing to veil once again, not because they must, but because they wish to honor the sacred. They speak of feeling humbled, of remembering the presence of the divine, of reclaiming a forgotten dignity. Some face criticism, even mockery, but they veil anyway, not for man, but for God. And so the faithful are asking, will Pope Leo XIV affirm this return to sacred femininity? Will he bless what so many women are already rediscovering? Number 3, the Angelus, sanctifying the hours of the day. Once the bells rang at 6 a.m., 12 noon, and 6 p.m., and Catholics stopped. Whether in the fields, at school, or in the streets, they turned to the church and prayed the Angelus. It was a moment when heaven touched earth. Today, the bells are mostly silent, but the yearning remains. In hundreds of comments, faithful Catholics shared how they've revived this practice on their own. Some set phone alarms. Others stop in supermarkets or pull their cars to the side of the road. Even in Walmart, one woman wrote, "I whisper the Angelus at noon." They want more than a private devotion. They want the church to bring it back, publicly, powerfully, and joyfully. To pray the Angelus together again would not only sanctify time, but reawaken the Catholic imagination. It is a tradition that echoes across centuries, inviting the faithful into the rhythm of grace. Number 2, wearing the scapular, clothed in the protection of Mary. Few sacramentals carry the weight of the brown scapular. A gift of the Carmelite tradition, it is more than just wool. It is a sign of consecration to Our Lady, a garment of spiritual armor. Many Catholics recall receiving it at First Communion. Others wear it still, despite discomfort, as a quiet pledge of fidelity. In the comments, there were touching testimonies, mothers dying while wearing the scapular, conversions inspired by it, and even stories of scapulars mysteriously reappearing in final hours. But many parishes no longer teach about it. Children are not enrolled. The promises are forgotten. The faithful are calling for a return, not to superstition, but to confidence in Mary's maternal protection. They want scapulars to be blessed again at Masses, to be explained to the young, and to be worn with faith. They want to be clothed in grace. Number 1, First Fridays, benediction, and traditional devotions. The rhythm of old Catholic life was marked by more than Sunday Mass. There were First Fridays in honor of the Sacred Heart. There were benedictions with incense and chant. There were parish retreats, 40 hours devotions, and Eucharistic processions through the streets. Much of it is now gone, replaced by programming, bureaucracy, and minimalism. But a movement is stirring. People want these devotions back, not because they are old, but because they are holy, because they teach the soul how to love, because they reveal the majesty of God in the intimacy of His presence. First Fridays remind us to repair the wounds of Christ. Benediction reveals that He is still among us. Retreats draw us into silence, away from noise. These devotions shape saints, and the faithful want them restored. These 7 traditions are not merely personal preferences. They are not about nostalgia or resistance to change. They are, at their core, about restoring the sacred. And perhaps that is why, in this moment of transition, so many faithful Catholics are speaking with one voice. Not shouting, not protesting, but praying, hoping that Pope Leo XIV, whose very name evokes strength and tradition, will hear their plea. They do not demand innovation. They ask for restoration, a return to reverence, a church rooted in beauty, truth, and holiness, the church of our ancestors, the church of the saints, the church that leads souls to heaven. Let us pray that, under Pope Leo XIV, these forgotten treasures may once again shine in the life of the church, not for glory, not for triumph, but for the greater glory of God. Ad majorem Dei gloriam.